Well, in about a week from today, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will present his maiden budget to the people of Ghana in Parliament. Well, there are already very high expectations among citizens coming on the back of heavy political season where mouth-watering promises were made to the Ghanaian electorate. Be citizens, not spectators. Well, that was the popular call by President Akufo-Addo to Ghanaians on the first day as president. But just how much of a contribution has the everyday Ghanaian got to make into the budget and into future budgets? Are there avenues through which everyday Ghanaian citizens can channel their demand for the fulfillment of their aspirations into the budget statement of the government? Well, we'll be engaging citizens on the street to hear what they think about this. But also, I've got in the studio here with me someone from Send Ghana, and she'll help us with what their perspective is when it comes to budget and it comes to inclusion of the views of Ghanaians in the budget. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what is it that you're calling for? You seem to be very interested in getting the views of Ghanaians into the budget. Really, what are you looking at?
Thank you very much. In fact, our Decentralization Act calls for citizens' participation in governance at all levels. Unfortunately, we do not have several mechanisms of doing that. And therefore, we have citizens not having the opportunity to participate in a manner that they would wish. At the district level, you will find district authorities probably saying that we do not have enough resources to involve everybody in our planning and budgetary processes, and also to receive feedback on policy interventions that are being implemented in very remote, rural, and deprived communities of our country. For Send Ghana, participation is very key for us, and therefore we always wish to encourage citizens to participate in governance. This project, funded by the World Bank, titled Making the Budget Work for Ghana, is one of such projects that we are implementing that is promoting citizens' participation in governance. And we are using an electronic means to get citizens to share their views and opinions concerning budgets, local budgets, national budgets, and to make their voices heard.
Okay.
Yes.
So you talk about using technology, if I should put it that way, to get more inclusion. But how? How are you doing it?
Thank you very much. Per this electronic platform that was launched this morning, it offers citizens the opportunity to call and share their concerns with state authorities. It also allows citizens to use SMS if they so wish. And then those who have access to internet can also use the internet to share their concerns with state authorities.
Well, we're expecting the budget next week.
Yeah.
Would you say it's too late, for instance, to start to ask for people's views? Because the budget, we believe at this point, is already put together.
Yes, it's too late. But also the budget processes for next year, I believe, will begin soon. By April, May, the Ministry of Finance will put out an advert calling citizens to make their inputs. And so for us, this is an opportune time. Besides, this platform is not asking for just citizens' input into the budget. It is also requiring citizens to share their feedback on ongoing projects or interventions. Are they being implemented properly? What are your concerns? If it has to do with education, what do you have to say? Or for instance, infrastructural projects that are ongoing, about the school feeding, about the capitation, about the free school uniforms, about the free sandals, about teaching and learning materials, about teacher behavior. Whatever your concerns are, you could call in, send a text message, SMS, or go to your internet and share your concern and require that the appropriate authority will respond. And therefore, we have partnered with relevant state institutions like the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, to have access to the backside of the platform to review the concerns that are coming in and to respond appropriately.
You're looking at a budget that we seem to be, the president seemed to have whetted a lot of people's appetite, because most of the details that people expected in the State of the Nation address, he says it will be in the budget. He says it will be in the budget. And one of the key things has been how we're going to fund the free SHS and where they're going to be getting money from. He still refers everybody else to the budget. So people have very high expectations. From St. Ghana's perspective, what's your expectation of the budgets that we're expecting next week?
You know, last year we mobilized citizens across 4 regions in 30 districts to make input into the budget. We made demands concerning expanding the tax nets, that government should put out modalities to expand the tax net to rake in more revenue for the country. We made proposals concerning education in terms of teaching and learning materials. On the capitation, for instance, we are asking for the capitation grant to be increased from 4 cedis 50 pesos per annum with about 50% increment. We are asking about things for health, and therefore for us, the first thing we will do when the budget is read is to pick the budget and look out for what we have requested to find out if indeed government has accepted some. We don't expect everything to be accepted, but we would look out to find out if we had some of the recommendations we made accepted. We did that in 2015 for the 2016 budget, and we are glad to say that the government listened to some of our demands. So we are expecting same for this one. For education, yes. The Constitution provides that everybody should have access. And so whatever government will do for citizens of school-going age to have access to education, we would push for that. We are more concerned with basic education. At least 17% of our children are still on the street and not in school. They should get to school. They should get to school. And whatever funding is available for education through capitation should be adequate for the school to be run appropriately. That's what we request for.
That's your take on education.
Yeah.
But what about other areas? Have you considered other areas and what your expectation will be in those other areas?
Normally we look out for education, health, agriculture, anti-corruption issues if they should come up. And so we support the call for corruption to be tackled in the country. But on agriculture, we think that for the past 2 years, we haven't paid much attention in terms of resource allocation to the sector. In fact, if you should pick the budget for 2015-2016, you will realize that about just 1% of the total budget is allocated to the agri sector. We keep saying agri is the backbone. If so, then it means that we need to pay the needed attention. We have signed on to international protocols, and so it's a demand on us as a country to make enough resource available. We are interested in small-scale food crop farmers having a fair share of the budget.
Well, if you're so very interested in agriculture, you must be impressed with this government, because so far, I mean, they seem to be very focused on agriculture, and they seem to have ideas about how we can improve the agricultural sector. Even though most of what they say are not really different from what the previous government said, because if you talk about making agriculture attractive to the young people, that's one of the things that President Mahama, during his administration did. So you must be very impressed by the way about how they seem to be attaching some importance. One of the first public speeches that President Akufo-Addo made was at the New Year school, where they talked about agriculture. He was there with his agriculture minister. Are you impressed, or you think that there is much more they can do?
Well, there's a saying that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating.
Okay.
These are intentions, well expressed. We want to wait to see what allocations we are making in terms of budget. Because then without the money, we cannot implement them.
True.
And then when the money is available, how appropriate are we putting the money to use to get value for money?
Right.
Because then if you express the intention and you have limited resources, taking into consideration our economic situation as a country, and you have limited resources, and you do not get value for money, we will still go back to square one.
True.
So we will wait for implementation to begin, and then we will track.
Okay. How long can you wait?
It should be immediate. It wouldn't be everything. It should start from somewhere. The previous government started. This government is going to continue. So it's a continuous process. Governance is continuous.
Yeah.
So as they continue, we will pick it up from where the previous government left off.
Okay.
And then we will just track.
Okay. We'll be wrapping up our conversation, but first I want us to go back to the project that you told us about, the project that you're working on. You say it's funded by the World Bank, correct?
Yes, through the Global Partnership for Social Accountability.
Okay, and what's their interest in this?
It's just about promoting social accountability.
Okay.
People having a say in their governance, government constructively engaging with citizens and civil society, and to ensure that service is delivered well, it is improved, citizens are satisfied with the service that is provided them. And that is why particularly we are focusing on education and health.
Okay.
Children should receive what is required. At the health sector, we should receive what is expected.
We should have healthy people in the country.
Exactly, because for their own program theme, health is wealth.
Yes.
And therefore, we should be satisfied with our health system to create the needed wealth.
Okay, just so we are sure, you're using social media to push this agenda, is that correct?
Yes, when you go to our social media link, you would find all the links there that will take you to this platform. So I'll quickly announce the platform so that people can call in. Okay. If you are using the internet, you just type in www.haveaSayGhana as one word.
Okay, haveaSayGhana.org. Okay.
haveaSayGhana.org. It takes you to the platform.
Okay.
If you want to share any concern about the national budgets, health, education, or on a particular district of the 30 districts that you will find on the platform, you click on the district, you leave your message.
You leave your message.
You leave
go
your
through
message.
the platform, the various platforms that you have.
And then if you want to use a text message, just dial this number 056 111 3182. 056 111 3182. And follow the prompts. Respond to the prompts.
So this is not for you to just so you're clear in your mind. I mean, just so you're clear in your mind. This is basically a place, a telephone line that you call and you make your inputs. We're talking about the national budget and how you can make your voice heard in how government put together this budget. Of course, it's too late to get into what we're going to get next week, but this will help you to put in your concerns. So the next budget will probably pay attention to it.
And the last one is the voice, where you flash this number and we call you back.
Okay.
And the number is 0307 082 140. Okay. 0307 082 140. You flash this number, we'll call you back, you follow the prompts, and then you record your message by voice. We would play back and direct it to the appropriate ministry to respond to it.
It will be important for government to take the views of young people in when they're putting together the budget or when they're putting together anything of the national nature. Young people don't really like making calls. You say you have got a Facebook platform, have you?
Yes.
You've got a Facebook platform. So how do people get to Facebook to put in their concern?
So it's Send Ghana.
Okay.
Facebook,
on Facebook.
Send Ghana. It will take you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's Send Ghana. You go to Send Ghana and then you put in your concerns or the areas that you think are important, the areas that you deem important to you, where you think government must necessarily look at in formulation of the budget. So say a very big thanks to you, ma'am, for coming through. We've been talking to Harriet Nyamajima, who is Programs Officer at Send Ghana. That's correct, isn't it? Okay. So they're embarking on a program that seeks to ensure inclusion in the budgetary allocation. They want to make sure that people get to speak their minds about how the budget should be or budgetary allocations should be done. Is it education that's important to you? Is it health? Is it agriculture? What is it? Social justice? Well, it's a platform for you to put in, to make your voice heard. A very good initiative indeed by Send Ghana. Well, let's move on to other stories. Now, land litigation has become one of the major security threats undermining the peace of the nation. Now, these land litigation issues have resulted in a number of people losing their lives in their attempt to safeguard their properties. Here is a compilation of some of the land litigation stories. so far.
Chieftaincy disputes and land litigation have been the biggest challenges hampering development efforts in the major cities of the country. The high demand for land in the capital cities led to some landowners selling their properties to multiple buyers, resulting in violence and sometimes deaths.
They say that it's a mistake. So if they had a press conference and tell the whole Ghana, including the world, that the Onya people or the Onya Langard killed my brother and the Mason, it's not true.
The disregard for the right succession channels to stools had created the conditions for lawlessness to thrive. One such case was reported on Saturday, February 18 in Ajiringano, a suburb of Accra, where residents live in a state of fear following series of destruction of structures by persons claiming ownership of a large parcel of land occupied by the people. The residents maintain they legally own the land, but a real estate developer who also claimed ownership of the land had acquired a court order to demolish some of the structures on the land.
3 plots. I have documents. So even I'm going to go on Monday. The chief representative from Teshin, who sold the land to us, a surveyor, did that, and I will go and meet him.
This created heated arguments that nearly resulted in fatalities.
Should have exercised patience and inquire whether the land was bought from them or not from them, because if I didn't come to their office, they're supposed to have their document to know people who have bought the land from them and people who did not buy the land from them before they engage their exercise. But they didn't ask anything. They only went on doing their own thing.
Another of such incidents was also reported at Miocho, also in Accra, where violence was recorded. Leading pineapple producer and exporter to the European Union, Golden Exotics Company had its farm destroyed by Cars Estate, which is now in court. Land encroachment at Tamati DC is another example which led to the demolition of some houses and other structures on the land and resulted in violence. Other places such as Kwabenya, Millennium City, Teshin, Ablekuma, Oblogo, Botiano and Weja have all been plagued with the land litigation issues, with some resulting in deaths. This is a security threat that needs urgent attention before it escalates.
You do have an idea by now what we're talking about. It is indeed a security threat, and it is something that gives you sleepless nights. After you bought your land, you have to contend with landlords, etc. Well, that's a discussion I'll be having right after this break. I'll be having in the studio representatives from the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. We'll have a very in-depth conversation about this. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.